Hi, welcome back to the podcast. Today's topic is something that's at the forefront of a lot of people's mind at the moment, and that is sustainability. And so we spoke to Charlotte, who is a wonderful, recently married woman, and her priority when planning a wedding was making sure that it was sustainable. So if you're somebody planning a wedding and wanted to make sure that you think a little bit more about how your day impacts the environment and how to make decisions based on sustainability, this is a really great episode for finding some simple tips in order to make sure that some, not necessarily all, of the elements of your day are a little bit better thought out, and have a more positive impact on the planet and the world around you. It's a really great episode, and we're really grateful for Charlotte for giving up her time and sharing her insight and her wisdom. So, without further ado, let's get chatting to Charlotte. Hi, Charlotte. Thanks so much for chatting to us today. We'd love to find out, first of all, how you and Neil met.
We actually met on a dating app. More of a modern day fairy tale, I guess. We met through Bumble, which is the one that allows women have to message first. Man's not allowed to message. So it's a similar one that you match, but I guess it stops you getting lots and lots of messages, that kind of thing. And actually it was a bit bad on my part that you're supposed to message within 24 hours, otherwise then that match disappears. And the blokes get one extension per day. So if there's one person that has, if someone hasn't replied in 24 hours, they can hit an extension button, and Neil had to do that. But then I did message him after that.
Oh, very nice. Oh, that's cool.
That extension, wasn't it? Oh my goodness.
Yeah. So it was a bit of a coincidence. I was at my old university, Birmingham University, and I was giving a talk there. And I think in my lunchtime I must have been playing on the app and matched up with Neil. Neil's actually from Worcester. I live in Lincoln, so we're a couple of hours away from each other. So it was all a bit of a coincidence. I happened to be there that day. Otherwise, we wouldn't have come into each other's settings, I guess, in terms of distance, that kind of thing. There's always kind of boundaries on it. So then we started chatting, had a couple of phone calls, and then we had a first date at the start of December in 2017. And decorated a Christmas tree together. That's what we did on our first date.
Oh, that's so romantic. I love that. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, pretty soon after that, we were quite set on each other, I think.
I like that. I like that a lot as your first date, because I think you probably learn quite a lot about somebody when you're decorating a tree together. Is there going to be a bit of give and take here, or is somebody incredibly set
exactly
how to decorate the tree? Wow.
Someone who has to have a colour scheme, or are you okay with my tree looks like Christmas is thrown up on it? So he was okay with that.
Oh. He's a good man. I like that a lot. That's fantastic. So I'm almost tempted to ask if that was the moment that you realised that he was the one, that he was like that. He's okay with my chaotic Christmas tree. Would you say that there was a moment when you guys were dating that you thought, there's something really special here that I want to pursue?
Yeah, I would say it was fairly early on. So I was 33 when we met. I'd never lived with anybody, anything like that. And I'd probably not wanted a relationship until my late 20s, and then started looking for one and really just couldn't find anybody that was right for me. And a few conversations. We both really enjoy travel. He was really, I had a job at the time where I traveled a lot, an environmental job, and he was really interested in it. And although he works in the music industry, actually works for a music charity, quite different backgrounds, but really similar outlooks on life. And I think, we booked a trip to Fez in Morocco within a month of meeting each other. And I think we were pretty set from there.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Wow.
It was pretty quick to know that there was something quite special there, I think.
Yeah. Two big things: decorating the Christmas tree and going on holiday together.
Yeah, we started ticking them off quick.
Was there a proposal? Did you propose? Did he propose?
Neil proposed. I was very shocked. Not that we'd kind of vaguely spoken about it. We were living together, so very much committed, and we had talked about a future together, but I wasn't expecting an engagement quite yet. I mean, I didn't think about it. I said yes straight away. So it was my birthday weekend, and Neil hired a 1970s VW camper van.
Wow.
And we went to the Norfolk coast. So I was born in Norwich. My family are from Cromer, although I grew up nearer London. So we moved from there when I was quite young. But yes, I love North Norfolk, the beaches there. I very much still kind of think of it as home, and at some point hopefully we'll go and live there. So yes, I thought this was birthday week away. Actually, someone at my work said, well, you better go get a manicure, sounds like you're going to get proposed to. And I was like, don't be ridiculous. And we were camping, and we were in our camper van and got up for breakfast, and Neil said, do you want your birthday present? And we'd actually been to Australia in the April after we met, so about 4 or 5 months after we'd met. And I really like opals. I'd already made it clear that if I was ever going to have an engagement ring, it needed to have an opal in it. And on that trip to Australia, Neil had Australia's very famous for opals coming from there, and Neil had he bought an opal when we were in Australia with the theory of making it into an engagement ring at some point. This was a year and a half later, something like that, maybe. Anyway, he gave me this opal as my birthday present and said to me that he bought this in Australia, thought that maybe we could have it made into something. And I was kind of looking at it and I was quite like overwhelmed anyway that someone had got me a gift more than a year before. And he said he'd spoken to a jewelry maker about having it made into an engagement ring, but it wasn't quite the right stone. And he said, so I got you another one, and pulled out this box and opened the box. And I think I just burst into tears, absolute floods of tears. But I was already really overwhelmed that he'd bought this opal so much, so more than a year ago, as such a thoughtful thing. And then he pulled out my engagement ring. I think I cried for at least a couple of minutes before I actually said yes.
Wow.
But
that's amazing.
He'd asked my parents previous, so they'd somehow managed to keep this a secret from me for months. I think he'd asked them this was September, and I think he'd asked them in the April or May time. How they'd kept it secret for so long.
And what have you done with the original opal, the one that he bought from Australia? Have you done anything with that?
We haven't had it made into anything yet, but I'm going to have it made into a necklace. It basically has a backing on it, so it wasn't suitable making into a ring, because apparently if you get them wet, it can cause issues. So a necklace or something, but we haven't. It's kind of sat in a box in my bedside table at the moment. But we will do.
Memory box. Oh, that's giving me proper goosebumps.
Thought of it though. It's really really quite amazing.
Yeah, how gorgeous of him. I think I'm a little bit in love with Neil. That's completely thrown me. So we're chatting to you today about sustainability, and you've mentioned your degree. So could you tell us what sustainability means to you, why it's important to you?
Yeah, definitely. My background, I currently work for the Wildlife Trust, but previously worked in international conservation. So nature, the outdoors, conservation, that's always been my interest and my passion. And I think that sustainability really fits into all of that, preserving and looking after what we've got. I think in terms of the way I try and think about sustainability for living my life and for the wedding is really just absolutely minimizing waste. And I think that was from the outset, was just looking at minimizing any waste, any impact we have on the environment or have on our planet. We can't be perfect. We do use things. There will be some form of waste, but I think it's just really minimizing those things as much as possible. So thinking about things being, when it came to our decorations, coming from them being paper instead of plastic. that kind of thing, all sorts of stuff. They're from the start. I think from the beginning, we kind of originally, first thing we did was thought about where is it going to be. Our families are from, and family and friends are all over the country. So I live in Lincoln, or Neil lives here now as well. But his family's from Worcester. I have family in Buckinghamshire, Norfolk, Wales, all over the place. And so we thought, right, where's the place where the least number of people have to travel? This is a convenience to them, but also, you know, a good thing for us in terms of sustainability, that fewer people are traveling. So we went for Worcestershire. Fewer people were going to have to travel, and we kind of just went from there with everything we did. As a bonus, if you're not someone who's into sustainability, a lot of the things that we did also saved us money. You know, in terms of, my wedding dress wasn't brand new. My wedding dress was secondhand. Our wedding rings were made from recycled gold. We did lots of things. As I said, we looked into the kind of waste stuff and decided not to do favours on the tables, because we kept thinking about, right, well, what are we going to do? But you know, that just produces lots of packaging. People will use that little thing and then they're going to throw it away. We thought, right, well, what would people prefer? Would they prefer some extra beers on the table? Probably. So the budget kind of went towards that. My shoes came from eBay, so my shoes were secondhand, etc., etc. There were certain things I didn't want to compromise on. In fact, I don't think I saw it as a compromise. The fact that my wedding dress, somebody else had it before. Those dresses are so beautiful, that sometimes it feels sad that they only get worn once. I haven't sold it on again yet, but it is my plan. Neil's struggling with it a little more than I am. I'm quite keen for it to see another day and have another wedding. But yeah, so we kind of, as I said, a lot of these things ended up being like things that saved us money as well, as a kind of coincidence. We did all sorts of stuff, I guess, like our table settings. I collected jam jars, which could then be recycled afterwards, and I wasn't buying them for that purpose. It fitted in with our theme, so I think a lot of it's thinking about what's really important to you, and if there were some things that you wanted from brand new, like having my headpiece made, that's something I'm always going to keep. That's not something, you know, and I hope at some point I'll wear it again, or somebody else will wear it. I'm not saying it won't ever be used again, it's just going to sit in a box. But having that made for me and being personal for me was one of the things we decided to do. But it's not going to be, as I said, it's not going to be thrown away. It's not going to be that. It's something that's going to be kept, you know, similar to our wedding rings and that kind of thing. It's something that you're always going to keep.
Wonderful.
So I think it's that waste thing is a big thing.
And
so was that a sort of sit down conversation that you had, or do you just think with your background and what you're passionate about, it was a no-brainer that was always going to be the case?
To be honest, I do think it was a bit of a no-brainer, in terms of, we decided we were having an outdoor wedding. Our wedding was outside, so when it comes to confetti, everything else, we wanted to make sure everything was biodegradable, etc. My husband kind of absolutely on his own, kind of, this wasn't a persuasion from me, about 2 years ago decided he was only going to buy from ethical, sustainable clothing companies. So he'd kind of taken that on himself. So in terms of his suit, he researched who he got it from. We didn't hire them. We thought that was another thing. Hiring them is obviously a good thing. They just go back and get used again. But we bought a suit that he will wear again. So we've done that and made sure that he'll wear that again. And he looked into who to buy it from, and the fact that it was ethical and sustainable materials. So, but yeah, it was a kind of a bit of a no-brainer for us. And actually, thinking back at it, we probably did more than I even realised in terms of the, getting things secondhand and that kind of stuff. I started kind of clocking up some of the things that we did, which were less conscious decisions. There were things that were definitely a conscious decision in terms of the flowers in particular. And this is probably the one thing that I could have improved on if I'd have thought about this right from the start of the planning the wedding. I was really keen on us. We didn't have any particular colour scheme. So the bridesmaids' dresses were like a sage colour. We kind of fitted everything in with it being an outdoor wedding, summer wedding, so that we could just go crazy with all the other colour. So the flowers were every colour under the sun. We folded 1,000 paper cranes as decorations. Wow. And they were every colour under the sun, etc., etc. And so when it came to flowers, I really wanted to get all of them from the UK.
Yeah.
And I didn't manage that. It's really difficult, and actually it's much harder than I thought, especially because I live in Lincolnshire. I was like, there's farming everywhere, there's flowers everywhere.
Yeah.
Surely I'm going to be able to do this. And that was one of the things I found quite difficult.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of the flowers I did the flowers myself. I didn't have a florist. There are some florists out there that will just do local flowers, definitely. So if people are looking for that, I did find a few, but that wasn't going to work with our budget and kind of what we were doing. So I got them from a wholesale florist. I did speak to them about which ones they could get from the UK, where other ones came from. So the furthest they came from were the Netherlands, and sunflowers and some other things were from the UK. But that was one of the things I really wanted, was for all of the flowers to come from the UK, from a point of view of being seasonal and natural, but from sustainable as well. That's another thing I wish I'd have thought of, was actually growing some myself.
Oh wow! Yeah,
my parents have a big garden. I just think that's a lovely thing in terms of sustainability. Fantastic. But what a nice thing to think that you or some of your friends or family had grown some of the flowers that are at your wedding. I thought that would be a really nice thing, which didn't happen. But at the time, I remember speaking to my dad about a month before, talking about the flowers when I was picking them up and how it was all going to work. He was like, "Oh, we should have grown some."
Yeah,
Didn't think about
that's
that.
a really lovely idea. I've seen favours where they're just a piece of card that have got wildflower seeds sort of embedded into them, that guests can just take home and put in the garden, and the theory is that they'll grow into cornflowers or what have you. But yeah, growing your own for your own bouquet would be an amazing thing to yeah.
Or even the table decorations, wherever they came, whatever you ended up using them for. I think that would have been really, really, really nice.
Yeah,
it's a lot of pressure though, isn't it, as well, I guess, if you go looking them out the window, making sure they're growing every day.
Yeah, one frosty morning and you've lost all your dahlias or something. That's not fun, is it? So in terms of sourcing these sustainable elements, when you're talking about your secondhand dress and shoes, and making sure you've got enough jam jars for the tables, and speaking to florists, do you think there is enough help and support out there for somebody trying to plan a sustainable wedding?
I can't say I found many sources, if I'm honest with you. And as I said, with my kind of background, it was always something I was conscious of. Being COVID, I was working from home. Maybe I had a bit more time to do things than I might have done previously as well. But I can't say I found many sources of, these are the ways that you could be more sustainable. These are the kind of ideas. It'd probably be a really nice thing for someone to put together, have links and that kind of stuff. And not just straight to suppliers, but thinking about the things that you can do for yourself, because, there's always a budgetary, there certainly can be a budgetary thing when it comes to weddings. So no, I can't say I found a huge amount. It was more me researching and deciding on things. As I said, my husband, in terms of his suit, he has certain things he looks for, and there are ratings on clothing being ethical and sustainable. So he did all the research into that in terms of buying suits and things. But yeah, from my point of view, it was more doing my own research, my own internet research. So when I found the wholesale florist I was going to use, I called them and said, what flowers would be in season, etc., etc.
Yeah, that's interesting. I am wondering whether florists, for example, are missing a trick by not sort of being more open and obvious as to where their flowers are sourced from, because obviously that just makes things easier for people to sort of look and go, well, that's the florist for me, because they source most of their flowers from the UK, or some, as you say, from Europe. So might be interesting. I'm hoping that a few florists are listening and pick up on that one. Yeah. It is interesting, because obviously it is very much on people's minds at the moment. It's one of those things that is very pressing, and we're all very conscious and aware of our environmental impact and trying to do something. So yeah, it's interesting that when you're planning a wedding, which is, as you say, something that could be quite wasteful. And certainly, one of the things that I think about when I'm designing accessories is, could this be worn again? Because it's very important to me that accessories can be worn more than once. It would be interesting, to see whether or not the wedding industry starts to really sort of, bang the drum for that. But I think it should.
Yeah, I think sorry, I was going to say, it's interesting that you didn't find there was a lot of help and support in it, and yet you probably know more than a lot of brides about how to be sustainable, and would have thought of a lot of things that other brides and grooms wouldn't have. So yeah, there's obviously still quite a lack of information out there for people that want to but don't even know where to begin, I think.
I think maybe also, probably even more so from the side of, if you were having a more traditional wedding. Ours wasn't. Ours was us. It was an outdoor wedding. I wasn't somebody who cared about the rules and regulations of what a wedding should be. But some people do. Some people want it traditional, want it in a certain way. And I think possibly even more so for those sort of weddings, right? How can you have all those elements of a wedding that you want, but make it more sustainable? I think moving away from thinking things that are sustainable are kind of hippy dippy and all that kind of thing, I think could be a good thing. So even if you are a bride who wants all of the the things that people say you should have at a wedding, that you can still do that in a more sustainable way. For some people, having a secondhand wedding dress isn't something that they would want. But thinking about where the materials came from and all those other things, that's something that you can think about maybe. You understand that not everything fits for everybody, and as I said, ours was a bit more of a from start to finish, it was going to be a bit more of a kind of hippie type wedding anyway.
Yeah, it was beautiful. Absolutely.
And what do you think the one thing your guests will remember about your day? Do you think it's because it was a little bit different, or is there a particular element that your guests have commented on since?
Well, yeah, that's quite a hard one. Everyone told us they had a fantastic time, which is great. I think we had the advantage that it's been a year and a half of people not being able to get together, and then everybody got together.
Sure.
We were also lucky to have a venue that was able to go quite late. I think that it was really relaxed. I think that was the thing that everybody liked. It was relaxed. I think it was a space that everybody felt kind of happy in. There was no dress code. There was nothing like that. We had sharing platters of food. We had a big barbecue, go and help yourself. All of those things, again, less waste, because you're not getting things put on a plate in front of you and you leaving some of it. We took, rather than just putting wine on the table, we asked people what they like to drink. Do you like beer? Do you like cider? Do you like wine, etc.? And we put a big ice bucket in the middle of the tables and put what people wanted on the tables. Again, to try and minimize waste, but also just to make sure that it was something that they liked. I think it was really fun. It was really colourful. It was really fun. There was a day, the wedding was outside in the forest. We had a bluegrass band in the evening. It was just really relaxed and fun, and really nice to see everybody after such a long period of not seeing people throughout COVID.
It did look joyous.
Celebration.
Yeah, it did look joyous. I've seen the photos, and it, huge smiles on everybody's faces, and like you say, it was the right time. People have, not that anybody ever says, nah, I can't be bothered to go to my
exactly
wedding or whatever. But yeah, it did look really, really happy and a real celebration. So you strike me as quite a relaxed woman, Charlotte. You don't seem to get terribly uptight about things. But is there anything, looking back at the whole planning process, is there anything that perhaps you focused a lot of time and energy on, or you worried yourself about, that in retrospect you look back and think, what was all that about? Why was I concerned?
Absolutely honest, the only thing that stressed me out about our wedding was COVID. That's the singular thing. If that hadn't happened, I would have enjoyed it from start to finish. I thought it was, how fun to get a plan a day with all your friends and family there and exactly how you want it. I'm very lucky that I definitely don't have, and neither does Neil, we don't have a family who said, right, you have to invite this person and you have to do it this way. everyone was, no, do it exactly how you want it, and everybody embraced that as well. You know, I'm not sure all of my friends and family would have thought that an outdoor wedding was going to be the perfect idea, but everybody loved it, everybody got involved, and yeah, really enjoyed it. So yeah, that was the singular thing. And it wasn't even the rearranging it, it was worrying that somebody could get it on our wedding day. That was it, really.
Yeah.
But everybody was great. We asked everyone to do tests before. We did lots of other bits and pieces. The fact that it was outdoors was a big bonus. So yeah, I think that was the only thing. I think I was just kind of didn't think about the things that you're supposed to do, and just did what we wanted to do and how we wanted to have a wedding. So yeah.
And again, I do wonder whether the whole sort of COVID experience might have made people feel more relaxed about planning weddings, because having been restricted for so long, you can't have them, or you can have them with just 10 guests. When you do get to the point where you can actually go ahead, just do it, to coin a phrase, is I think a lot of people's mindsets now. I think certainly sort of you're seeing it with people's sort of social lives and activities. Just, we haven't been able to do it, so now we've got the opportunity, we're going to just do it. So I think we might see a little bit of that sort of like, you have to do it like this kind of thinking dropped post-COVID. Whether or not it ever comes back again, who knows? But it is nice to see those more sort of relaxed, joyous occasions and less formality around the whole wedding thing.
Yeah, I hope so. It should be, as named after your podcast, it should be your individual wedding, and it should be about you and a celebration of you as a couple, and the fact that you're getting married. And that's just, that's just a lovely thing as it is.
Can we just save that as a soundbite, Ross?
We'll have that. We'll clip that up for the soundbite, definitely. So do you have any advice for couples that are getting started planning a sustainable wedding? Any sort of starting point or places to go in terms of, I know you said resources were limited, but if someone said to you, I want my wedding to be sustainable, help, I don't know where to start, what would you say?
I think I'd probably just think about the different points of the peak points of the wedding. Have a think about everything that you've got to buy, and then start looking into what sources, what sort of things that you would be happy that are secondhand, reused, however you want to phrase it, the things that you wouldn't and that you want to get yourself, and then thinking about where to source those. As I said, the floristry thing, as I kind of went further into it, there definitely are companies out there that do purely local flowers, which is a really nice thing. Or just asking, the florists were very open with us exactly where they came from. I couldn't see it on their website, but as soon as I said to them, these are the sorts of things, they said, well, that's not in season, this is in season. I was quite flexible with that. I think there is a part of being a little bit flexible. If you want white roses and you want them in December, so that's what I would do. I'd look at the steps of the wedding, the elements that you are planning for your wedding, because everybody's a little bit different. As I said, ours was outdoors, so we actually had a legal wedding the day before, and then we had a humanist wedding out in the forest. And then definitely think about which things you would be able to get secondhand, because I think it's that thing, or you can get it and you can pass it on afterwards. Those kinds of things. So if it's you want to buy it brand new, but then think, right, well, okay, well, I can then pass it on afterwards. I've got other friends that are engaged, so now I'm like siphoning out all the things that we have still got. I've still got jam jars, have them.
Yeah. No,
do you think it took you a little bit longer? You said you felt lucky that you were working from home, so you had a bit more time. Do you think it would take a little bit more time than I don't know what an average wedding is, but with all that extra research, do you think that does impact the planning process?
I think potentially it could, definitely. As I said, I was in a job where I was abroad probably 6 months a year, to then this happening and working from home. I then changed jobs within that time. Also, then our wedding was delayed by a year. So because of COVID, so we were supposed to be getting married in 2020, So I definitely had a lot more time, or Neil and I planned our wedding completely half-half. I think you probably would. I enjoyed it. I enjoy planning things. I am a planner. I love a spreadsheet or shared Google Doc. So yes, I do think it could take some more time. So maybe that's another thing, to prioritize which things your venue will just handle and you'll go with whatever suppliers they've got, and which things you want to focus in on that, yes, I could spend a bit more time, in terms of, I knew the shoes I wanted. I'd seen them somewhere and I had to wait for them to come up on eBay. Yeah. And I got there. I got them. But yeah, so things like that can definitely take some more time. Of course, it would have been easier for me just to click buy when I was online and buy them straight away. And, if it had got to the wedding and they never came up, then I probably would have done that. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'm not saying we were perfect. There's definitely more, there's always more things you can do. But I think about this, living sustainability is just doing your best and thinking that every individual can do something, and that does make a difference. It's not, there's lots and lots of things that need to change to make our world more sustainable. But the more we take it on in everyday life, the more it then just becomes a natural thing. As it said, there was lots of stuff I didn't realise we'd done to be sustainable for our wedding. But looking back, actually, yes, that we'd done that with our bridesmaids' dresses. I got some of them online, but I did keep an eye out, because people always put bridesmaids' dresses on eBay. So I got some of them, and actually it was size-wise, it just worked out really well. So yeah, half were bought and then half were on eBay. People are always putting them online. That's great. Worth looking at. Yeah, and, that's great advice. Yeah, I think just the same thing with the groomsmen, with bridesmaids, with their shoes. I didn't say, we chose a colour, I didn't say what style, and I said, let's get ones that you are going to wear again. So we did that, and they will wear them again. We didn't do suits for all of our groomsmen. We got ties and pocket squares. Again, they can use those again. They weren't particularly, they're a sage colour, so easy for people to use again, and they just get to keep those. So that was the kind of stuff. I just kept thinking about things being used again. I thought it was a really important thing. There's this thing that people keep saying, don't ever buy a piece of clothing unless you're going to wear it 30 times. I'm not sure you can ever say that for a wedding dress. But I think just having the thought there that you could, that you could carry on. And the same thing, and my wedding dress, I wouldn't be able to afford that brand new. So getting that secondhand meant that I got a great deal on it. And it had another wedding day. So that was a nice thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Did you have to get it adjusted out of interest, or did you find the perfect fit?
I was lucky. I had to have it. I'm not very tall, so it was shortened slightly. But apart from that, it was fine. So that that is one thing. I guess it's always worth thinking about maybe getting one that is a size too big or something along those lines. So you could then, if you were getting one secondhand, then you can have it adjusted to you. Or just make sure that you've asked if there has been any adjustments. The one I got, there hadn't been any adjustments to it at all. Mm-hmm. I'm not actually clear whether that it had another wedding day, or whether it had been purchased and they'd decided another dress or another day, or I don't know. It still had the tags on it, so I don't know. It certainly hadn't had any adjustments, so it might not have even had a different wedding day. I'm not sure. But yeah, I guess that would be definitely something to think about, is whether there has been any adjustments, and if there has, get a size too big and have it fitted to you. Or then think about any other adjustments, embellishments, anything else you want to do to it, so that it's then completely your unique wedding dress. That's always a nice thing too.
Yeah. My goodness, there is so much good advice in there for couples planning their way. Honestly, there's so many things that I probably wouldn't have thought about.
Me too.
Yeah, really, really, really helpful. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it, Charlotte. Wonderful. And at some point, we need to see what this opal looks like in its new set.
Yes, absolutely, definitely.
Little picture. So, Charlotte, thank you so much for joining us on the podcast. We really, really appreciate it. We look forward to seeing the pictures of the opal. And thank you very much.
Thanks, Charlotte. Really appreciate it.